All right, our next game is Shinobi 3, Return of the Ninja Master. It was developed by Megasoft and published by Sega. It was released on the Sega Genesis / Mega Drive, and its earliest release date and the region was July 23rd, 1993 in Japan. That was nominated to us by MDK2. Shinobi 3, Ninja Games. Ninja game.
Gonna say something real quick. This is a game where you can have a ninja on a surfboard dive kick while riding surfboard so hard that he blows up missiles and bounces off of them, and you fight mecha while you're doing this. Number 1, next game.
Well,
I got no problem with that, so... Excellent. Finally, a Sega game reaches the top position.
Alrighty. Stop the recording in that case. We should probably just say a little more so that the listeners don't feel ripped off. But but no. In all seriousness, I want to get too ahead of myself, but this really is one of the finest action games on the Sega Genesis, if not of most action platformers I played. It's high quality stuff. I mean, it looks fantastic. It has all this rad parallax scrolling on it, just all these neato graphical effects. Like, especially in the third level, there's some cool stuff happening in there with all the weird body waste everywhere. It's a creepy level. And the soundtrack's, I think, really fantastic. May not be composed like Yuzo Koshiro like its predecessor was, but it makes the best use of the Genesis's FM synth that it possibly can. I should also say that Shinobi 3 is a little bit of a confusing title in a way, because it's known in Japan as Super Shinobi 2, which makes it the direct sequel to Revenge of Shinobi, also on the Genesis, which was called the Super Shinobi in Japan. So I guess it's Shinobi 3 because Revenge of Shinobi was supposed to be Shinobi 2 compared to the arcade game. But then there's the Shadow Dancer game, so this is kind of a kerfuffle. I don't know.
Thankfully, that doesn't really impact our ability to talk about Shinobi 3. So let's say I'd never played a Shinobi game in my life. What would you tell me that you actually do in Shinobi? Because I get that you're on a surfboard and you're a ninja, but what makes this game different to the other Shinobi games? What makes it different to other action games? Why is this game actually really good?
If I may speak for a minute, I'd say something this game does really well, something you didn't really see in too many action games at the time. You have a lot of mobility, and I appreciate that. You can grab on a certain surface and pull yourself up. You've got a dive kick that you use to bounce off of enemies, and then bounce off of other enemies to get a chain going. You've got wall jumps. There's just like so many different ways to move, and it's something that just makes the game control really well, I would say. It just feels great to control.
What I think is interesting is also that you're not punished for using these abilities. It's more than just a double jump, and all of your abilities, if you get hit, you get hit. You don't go blah, 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 and lose your ability to throw shurikens or lose your sword or something. You have all of your abilities right from the start, and full health, no health, whatever, you are always maximum level ninja, it's really cool that you just kind of have that power, and I think it's an interesting step from... You do have power-ups here and there. I think you do have your full screen abilities, which I think you can collect more of occasionally. And I think you can get different Shuriken or Kunai types, which boost your ranged attacks damage a little bit. But for the most part, you are kind of at your normal level, which I think is really cool. And that this game has large-ish sprites on screen. They're quite large, quite well animated. But due to the way it sort of plays, I don't think it feels difficult. Like that you've used too much screen real estate on the character graphics, because it still feels fully playable.
I'd say it's pretty well balanced in terms of difficulty too. It's health power-ups are pretty common. There's not too many places where it ever feels unfair. Maybe points where you're supposed to isn't quite clear, but it's not too much of an issue once you know what to do.
Yeah, what I really like about this game is that and it's kind of notable with quite a few Sega games, especially post-90s or Sega published games, is that they were very clearly, okay, this is a home console game. You've already bought the game. We have your money. We don't care. You can actually finish this game, and we don't need to break your legs in the attempt. And I think that's really nice that you actually feel empowered in this game. You're a ninja, you feel like a ninja, and you can actually beat the game. And I think that's really cool compared to not just games on Sega and not just games on Nintendo, just games in general. This one actually you feel strong and you can complete the game, but it still has some challenge to it, and there are bits that are difficult.
Yeah, definitely. Although you do only get, I think, like 2 or 3 continues to beat the game, which does feel a little restrictive, but at the same time, I think you could also set it down to easy, and you're not, like, denied, like, the last levels of the game because you picked the easy difficulty. So, you know, there's always things to get around it, and, like, you know, it's not a... Well, I don't know exactly how long the game clocks out in the end, but, you know, as an action game is, you can definitely beat it in under an hour if you're good enough at it.
Yeah, it's so not a super long game.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like it overstays its welcome, though.
I don't mind that, though. That means that all of it is good. There's very few parts of this game I would say are not enjoyable to play through. It's short, but all of it is worth playing.
Yeah, it doesn't have any filler to it. It really feels economically designed and full of boss fights, which I always appreciate in a game like this. There's always like a mid-boss every level, and the big boss, which is like that giant like flesh monster at the end of 3 is just so awesomely demented looking. That's
one of
the
best bosses visually on the Mega Drive.
No
just
kidding.
Wow.
Really gruesome looking. You wouldn't be seeing that in like early era SNES where they were censoring everything. So Genesis does
terrifying skeleton meat man. Pretty good stuff.
Not to mention the robot the Mecha Godzilla at the end of stage 5.
Yeah, I like that. They got a little bit cheeky with getting their own copyright. Like you've got gargoyles and guys in one stage that I bet has to be a reference to not Batman. Yeah. Plus, of course, Mecha Godzilla. That's not even subtle.
I think it's Lizardzilla, actually. You could have.
Well, they got into some bad business with comic companies, which are probably the most litigious entities on the face of the earth, if I had to say. Well,
Sega had different properties at various times. You know, sometimes they would have... You know, they'd have Batman or whatever, or they'd have Alien, and then they'd be like, well, let's just put references to it in other games. And these companies would be like, hey, hold on, what are you doing? It's like, we're just putting this in other games, it's cool. I do like that, I do miss it a little bit. There's slightly more subtle references, you know, you don't feel like the gargoyle is Batman. You don't like, haha, you put Batman in your game. No, it's just like, oh, okay, I get it. You're just evoking a sort of similar sense. And I think there's a Predator-ish statues in one of the levels in the background, and it's just nice stuff that kind of visually sets it as, okay, yeah, this is an early 90s game. You've got all these kind of subtle call-outs and fun references that don't, you know, the Shinobi character, is this guy's name is Joe?
Yeah, Joe.
He's one of the...
Joe Musashi, yes.
Yes, he's Joe. Ninja Gaiden is Ryu, or whatever, you know, they've all got these bland names because they're ninjas and they're ninja people. You know, he doesn't ever like sort of stand up and say, haha, you got set up the bomb, like even though I think that would have been predating Zero. No, maybe I don't know what year Zero Ring was, but
it was older than this game. Yeah.
Would it also be unfair to say that Joe is kind of a better ninja than Ryu? Because Ryu ends up just like completely blindsided by everything that happens to him, if you notice.
Well, you never plummet off a cliff and get murdered by a bird in this one. So
no, I would say that Joe is probably... I mean, I do like Ninja Gaiden better than the people who ranked it on our board.
You like Ninja Gaiden more than me? You're a butt. I'm better than Ninja Gaiden.
Hey, come on, man. Let's not make this personal. We'll save the discussion for later. But no, Joe is just a straight-up badass. He runs, slashes, he dives kicks, he, like, just blocks everything. He can hold the fire button to block with his just like putting two kunai together, and yeah, he's got a fair range of abilities there. I do question though the white and red color palette. That's not very stealthy for a ninja.
He's a true hero ninja. He doesn't use the element of surprise. He uses the element of kicking your ass.
Yeah, he's more like a ninja from like the what would you say? The Godfrey Ho school of
yeah, he is
ninja
a Godfrey
movies.
Ho super ninja character.
Yeah, exactly like that. But which is great.
Oh no, the ninja's here! I'm here and I'm gonna beat your ass! Ninja!
Exactly. It's like, I mean, I think Shinobi might have been born, actually, the original game, from that bizarre American obsession with ninjas being, like, super powerful, like, god lords of combat, when, of course, in reality, ninjas were just, like, Japanese spies, and they didn't even always wear the black outfits all the time, but...
Well, plenty of the enemies you fight in this game are ninjas, and you kick their ass, because you are the king ninja of ninjas. You're so ninja, you get on a horse, and the horse becomes a ninja. That's just how Ninja Joe is.
You can dive kick on the horse.
That's true, that's true. This game...
Horse, I give you... hours. Let's.
When I say that, I mean you don't. The horse itself dive kicks people.
Horse dive kicks. It's fantastic.
Uh,
I like the idea that there was Rio, and then he saw Joe in Shinobi 3 and was like, "Oh my god, this guy's kicking my ass!" And then he hit the gym for like a decade straight, and then he comes out as Ninja Gaiden. It's like, yeah, I'm ready, Joe. You and me, let's go.
And then Joe stopped being in games. Well, I guess he was a secret character in the PS2 one, if you want to get technical, but...
Yeah, that's true.
Joe, I think Joe was a victim of the fact that he's just a ninja. Like, at the end of the day, he barely is a character. It's like he's a ninja. He wears white and has red boots. That's it. That's all he is.
Yeah, there may not be much to Joe, but I do like his design, and I do like his game a lot. I mean, there's just... I really also like this game's direct predecessor, Revenge of Shinobi, but if you only had to play one, Shinobi 3 really is a better version of Revenge.
I would say Shinobi 3 is the best of the series, probably.
I would say this too, to be honest.
Actually, that's not fair to say. I haven't played the PS2 ones, but definitely the best of the 2D ones.
Yeah, certainly the best of the 90s games by and far, and... I did like Shinobi on the PS2, but I'd even say this is better than that. It's just, I really can't think of too many faults to give to this one. Maybe except that the final level's kind of BS, the whole, we forgot to put it on the floor, so enjoy jumping on these really narrow poles that sink into the void instead. But it's the final level, so, I guess it would only make sense they ramp it up the difficulty like that. Like, if you hadn't mastered your jumps by then, I guess they're going to really put you to the grill on that.
So, let's start ranking. I don't want this game to leave the top 20. What do you guys think?
I love Sega games. I think that this game is more than a lot of other games. Firstly, it's aged fantastically. There's not a single element in this game that blindsides you like, oh, that's crap and old. No, it's just, you could release this game right now, whatever, and people are just like, wow, what a great retro throwback game. This is so good. They added some modern touches with the way you control and stuff, but it's otherwise pretty great. And it's like, no, it has always been really damn solid and a great action game on the console that had a shed load of great action games. I think we've sold a lot of action games on the Mega Drive short. We've put Alien Soldier, not quite in the top 20. I think we may have placed it in the top 20 at the start, but it got pushed down a little bit. Poor Alien Soldier.
I'm just going to pass the buck to Xerxes in that one. I love Alien Soldier personally.
No, I mean, games are going to leave the top 20, and I think the thing with Shinobi 3 is it's a lot more approachable. It's just such... it may not be the hottest game ever, but that works for it. I think if we're going to put it somewhere, I'm looking around Donkey Kong, because we recently ranked Donkey Kong, and it's fresh in my mind. This game is an encapsulation of a lot of great things. I love that it's a very vertical action game, and it's an action game that isn't... Okay, if you think like Contra, you think Metal Slug, you think these games, and even a lot of modern ones, they're kind of single screen in the sense they just kind of move left to right, and the game will go up and down, but you're always kind of on a track. This one's interesting in that there's a little bit of platforming. Sometimes you you go left, and then you jump up around, you go right. There's a lot of verticality, and the stages actually have some space to wander and feel like you're moving around, which is a unique flavor that I think was lost a little bit in action games to an extent.
No, I definitely agree on that. I mean, while I do like, I guess, more treasure-like games that are almost more akin to boss rushes, I also appreciate a game that, like, balances its combat with platforming and makes it feel like, you gotta be as agile as you have to be cunning. I mean, in the later levels, Shinobi 3 does ask quite a bit out of you, but it does have just a really...
It gives you more than adequate time.
Yeah,
like, it gives you, like, by the time you get that far, you're probably, if not ready, you'll be there once you die and replay the game once. You'll get there. And
definitely.
I think it's really just it's a solid, really fun experience from beginning to end, and there's no real bitch slapping in it. There's no, oh, this boss, he just instantly kills you. It's like, huh? Like, no,
nothing that malicious, definitely.
It's very cool. What do you guys think about Donkey Kong?
I'm okay with that.
I know you complain behind the scenes that we haven't really had any argument wars this episode, but...
You want to get in a fight?
No, Shinobi 3's too good. I'm definitely not going to do that over this game. I'm totally all up on making it that high. It's fantastic. Sega, congratulations. This is the reason why Joe Musashi is my favorite character in Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing Transformed. He's a really damn good character in that, too.
I can't believe he showed up in it, too. It's just like...
Yeah, no kidding.
Oh, he's back. Joe's back. So that's...
They also used, like, the best song for Shinobi 3 as his theme, too, which I appreciate.
Great stage in that game, too, thinking about it. Lovely stage. Really fun. So that would be position 15 between Chrono Trigger and Donkey Kong 94, the Game Boy game. Just in case anyone's only tuned in for this episode, that is not the original Donkey Kong. That is the very impressive Game Boy game. But Shinobi 3 is a no-brainer. You should play it if you haven't. It is absolutely one of the pinnacle action games that it is just so good, and I have no complaints about it. The biggest complaint I think you could have about the game is that it didn't wash everything and it influenced a billion games. It didn't influence as much as Doom or Mario 64, or I'm just throwing out like Super Metroid, games on the very, very top of our list. But it is such a fantastic game, and it's slightly overlooked, I think, as time has progressed. So definitely check it out because it's fantastic.